Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I am Anna and this channel is all about living in New Zealand. In today's video I want to talk to you about studying in New Zealand because I'm just finishing my first semester of studying Masters of Business at University of Canterbury in beautiful Christchurch, and just want to kind of reflect and share some information about studying in New Zealand, wherever it's undergraduate or postgraduate or graduate program. And so you can decide, is it a good place to study or maybe not. So New Zealand is a popular destination for study abroad actually, especially among Asians. But for me it was kind of new, so for me actually studying in New Zealand it's more the way to move to New Zealand because we get a visa, we get a permit to work, permit to live and enjoy this country. So it's a great option if you just want to gain a qualification or you actually want to move to New Zealand. It can work both ways or you can combine them. So New Zealand has only 14 universities which are spread around the country. Most of them are in North Island and in the South Island where I am there are only a few of the main universities. So if you are choosing to study in New Zealand you should pick one of the largest cities, and it's also where the most universities are. The universities are better and you have also opportunities like job opportunities, things to do, and you are connected more than you somewhere middle of nowhere. So as an international student in New Zealand you have a choice. You can study at universities or at polytechnics. Polytechnics are like colleges where you have more like hands-on professions and trades, and it's generally cheaper, but also quality is lower than a high standard universities, as you can imagine. So I decided to study at university because I wanted really good quality of education, international connections. If you are not after a more academic job, if you are more hands-on, you need real skills, or you don't care about quality of education and you want to save money, then you can pick polytechnics. There are very many polytechnics, but there are only 14 universities in New Zealand. So the best universities to study in New Zealand are University of Auckland, University of Otago, Massey University, Victoria University and University of Canterbury, where I'm studying. So just to remember that the New Zealand universities are not in the top rankings of universities in the world. I don't know why, but we are more in the lower end. So most universities here are ranked from 200, apart from the University of Auckland, which ranks 68 in a world list of universities. So if you are not after high ranked universities like Cambridge and Oxford, then it's a great choice. It's also cheaper. So let's talk about costs of studying. The cost depends also on university and on a program, whether it's undergrad, postgrad, and then New Zealand is a little bit special in that sense because it also has many certificates. The degree structure here is different maybe to your country because you can complete like postgraduate certificate, which is like something special. So it's very depends on the chosen qualification, how much you pay. But generally we are all divided on undergraduate, graduate and postgraduate, bachelor's, master's and PhD. So the average cost of the program to study a bachelor degree in New Zealand is starting from 35 to 50,000 New Zealand dollars for the whole program. So wherever it is like 2-3 years. For masters it's a bit more. It starts from around 45,000 to 80,000 New Zealand dollars for entire program. I study masters, and at the University of Canterbury it was quite affordable, so we pay 55. Because I think in Auckland it's more expensive. And it also of course depends on the chosen program. For example, to study medicine it would be more expensive than studying engineering, for example. So how do you get into universities here in New Zealand? You need to pass the admission. It's good news that it's not very complicated because they tend to take more students here. So the admission rate is high. We have a lot of space, we have a lot of place for international students. So you need to have, for example, for masters you need to have a bachelor degree, or for undergrad program you need to have a school leaving certificate or like high school diploma. If you are aiming for undergraduate program, it should be also recognized. It doesn't have to be really related to the subject you want to study here. So in that sense, many universities here in New Zealand are very flexible. For example, if you want to study business here, but your degree isn't even business related, you can actually do it. You need to have a degree, and you also have to have a reasonable GPA. Not the best one, not the worst one, so I didn't have the great notes in my bachelor degree, so it was average and I was admitted nonetheless. In addition to your previous degree, you also need to pass an English exam, such as IELTS or TOEFL or any other English exam which your university accepts. You can find it at university website which English exams we accept. You need to pass it with a good note, above average. For IELTS, it's 6.5 for every sequence of the test. You have to also keep in mind that your English must be in a decent level so you can actually study in an English-speaking country. So how many actually are there international students in New Zealand? New Zealand has a good amount of international students, but it's maybe not that high as in Australia, for example. Here, at the moment, we have 14% of all students coming from different countries. To notice, most of them are Asians. 47% of all international students are from Asia, for example, Chinese, Indian students, also Southeast Asia, South Korea. Yeah, that's majority, and the rest is like a mix of different small countries, or maybe North America, South America, and Europe. So yeah, it's a pretty good mix. But I would say in my graduate program, business degree, maybe, I don't know, like 70% or 60% are from China or like Asian countries, and then just a small mix of different nationalities. And it's very interesting. Of course, we still have Kiwis, so there are a few Kiwis, but I would say that studying graduate or postgraduate, it's less common among Kiwis than is among international students. Many Kiwis prefer just to study bachelor and just go with it, because also they can get a student loans and like financing for bachelor, and it's less expensive than they would finance a master's, which is also more, I think, complicated to finance, and it's also more expensive even for local students, because they also have to pay, although we pay like 4 times, I guess, less than we are, or like 6 times less. So let's talk about visa, because to study in New Zealand you will need to get a visa, and I'm happy to say that it's not very complicated. It took me not a long time to prepare my visa, and I did it right here from New Zealand. So basically I arrived in a visitor visa, a 1-year-long tourist visa, and then I just applied for my student visa within New Zealand, and it took me only 1 month from I applied to get a visa, which I think quite quick. I studied my undergrad degree in Austria, and to get a visa there was much more complicated, and it took me way longer than it was in New Zealand. And the plus that in New Zealand is everything is online. You don't have to go to the embassy or a consulate, you just do it online, and there is less paperwork, up to 0 paperwork. Depends also on your country of origin. You may need to do a medical test, chest x-ray, but it depends on the country of your origin. So student visa costs $375 New Zealand dollars, and it's valid for up to 4 years, but it's actually valid like as long as you study, and maybe a little bit more. For me, they gave me visa for 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. And after you finish your education, you can actually apply for a post-study work visa, which will also be valid for as long as you have studied. For example, if your undergraduate diploma was for 2 years, you will get a work visa for 2 years. But for masters, it's easier, because for masters you get 3-year-long post-study work visa, so it doesn't matter how long your masters are, you always get 3 years, which is pretty handy. So that means you get your study visa for suppose 2 years, and then you can apply for a post-study work visa for 2 years or for 3 years, and then you can apply for a residency. So that's a really good way if you want to stay in New Zealand longer than just for studying. You want to work here, that's the best option. Actually, what is the best subjects to study in New Zealand? New Zealand is great for business, especially accounting. I noticed that accounting is very popular, and we have many accounting companies here, such as PwC and Deloitte and KPMG everything. So the main accounting companies were present in New Zealand, and also they highly look after graduates of New Zealand universities. Also, all majors in business are good, in engineering and in medicine. So these subjects are very popular in New Zealand, and with these subjects you will have a good opportunities to get a job. I don't know about other subjects, so you have to look yourself, but if in your country, for example, a particular major is popular, you can just study it in New Zealand and then work in your home country. And what are the best cities to study in New Zealand? Because we spoke about best universities are like University of Auckland, Otago University, but it also depends on the city where you want to live. Maybe you don't want to live in a hectic Auckland, or maybe you don't want to live in a small Dunedin, because University of Otago is in Dunedin. I would recommend you to pick between Auckland, Christchurch or Wellington, because these cities are the main cities where all above 300,000 people of population. For example, Auckland has 1.5 million and Wellington has 400,000. And Christchurch is almost 500,000 if you count the area around. So they are all great for students because we have a lot of students, universities which are here, quite large. So they all have like 20,000 students and more. We have a lot of job opportunities, we have a lot of stuff to do, and it's generally well connected because we have international airports, so you are not stuck, you can fly home. For example, you can fly from Christchurch to Australia, to many Asian countries, and even pretty much in most locations, because if you fly from Christchurch, it will take you to Australia, which is not far away, and then you can go from there, in comparison that you fly to Auckland and then fly from Auckland somewhere, you know. So it's really great for internationals to be located in these three main cities, and that's what I would recommend. If you're choosing to study at Polytechnic, you have bigger choice because, as I mentioned, there are much more polytechnics in New Zealand than there are universities. So each small city or like medium-sized city will have a polytechnic. So you can actually live in a relatively small city and study at Polytechnic and get your qualifications, but you are more limited because you have less job opportunities, you have less things to do, you're less connected, and you probably will have to drive decent amount to the next airport if you want to fly somewhere. But it all depends on you. If you want to live in a really small town and live more like nature close and more rural lifestyle, then you can also live in a small city and study in one of the polytechnics. If you're looking into like smaller city but still with a good university, there is Massey University in Palmerston North and University of Otago in Dunedin. So both Palmerston North and Dunedin were not large cities, and they are pretty student friendly, and they still have opportunities if you want to get a job at some point. So how is it actually to study in New Zealand University in terms of lectures and semester and vacation, etc.? So I would say it's pretty balanced because we have a set amount of time when we have to focus, and then they give us like a break for to prep for exams, for a midterm exams or final exams. It's always a hardworking time followed by some break where you have enough time to prepare for exams or to enjoy your free time, and then you again kind of in a hard work mode, and it's very effective. I found that the lectures which we have here were all very well structured, and they all last for 3 hours. So you get there, you sit for 3 hours, and you are really like on material. Lectures are very well prepared. We are not like wasting time like doing nothing. We have like really good agenda, and we're going like pam, like slide from slide, topic to topic. We lose really minimal time, which I really appreciate. I do like to be effective and efficient and really get most of my time, and it's really good here, at least in University of Canterbury where I am, and in business program. So I would expect this quality of education also in other universities here, at least in the main universities. That's why I was a bit scared maybe to go to Polytechnic, because I don't know about quality of education in Polytechnic and if it would be really effective and efficient as a student and to be a student there. So you need to check it for yourself. Maybe talk to previous students in a university where you want to study, read reviews online, just do your research, because it really matters. You're gonna spend there a significant amount of time and you just don't want to be this time wasted. So while you're studying a semester in New Zealand, you generally will have like a good workload where you have a lecture, then you have assignments. It all happens at the same time. You have assignments together with the lectures, and you also have to prepare some materials for lectures. It's usually just for yourself. You don't have to like to present or anything. On lecture, there are only teachers are working, and maybe you have like tutorials where you work as well. But you don't have to do anything for a lecture in terms of presenting or like really working on the lecture. So you generally do have to prepare yourself so you understand better material, and that's what I would recommend. Before every lecture you just do your homework so you are prepared for a lecture, so you are not sitting there like you're lost in a universe, and that takes time. So I would say average, like for me it's at least 6-7 hours per day, like going to the lecture, then working after the lecture, working before the lecture. So I'm also running the online business, which I 100% neglected this semester, because it's very important for you to focus on study, and if it is important in your life right now, so I think you should invest time on it. That's what I'm doing. And for me, every day 6-7 hours studying, it makes sense for me to understand the material. You also have to keep in mind that if you are studying here everything like graduate or postgraduate degree, if it is a degree program, you have to manage your time very well, because if you decide to take a job and you just do it halfway, it can be dangerous. So you will not understand the material very well, and then maybe you will have a problem in an exam, because understanding the material is also important if you want to work in a job you are studying for, right? So it's all up to you and what you study and what you study for. But I set myself goals to study really hard to understand the material so I can actually get something out from it and I can apply it to my future job, because I don't want to work on myself the whole life. So I want also to build a career in the business industry, in the corporations, and where I can actually apply the knowledge we teach us here, and they are teaching us really good knowledge, which is really useful for your future professional life. So semesters usually last for about just 3.5 months in New Zealand. It's pretty short. They start here typically in February and in July. So now, for example, I started my semester in July, and it's nearly over, and we're gonna have a long break. Between each semester you have a break, but when you finish your semester in November, so then you have a summer break. Then it's the longest break you will have ever, because it's the summer, it's summer holidays, and everybody's happy about it, because it's 3 months of no studying. So basically during your whole year you will have 3 months without any studies and exams, so you can actually take on a full-time job, or you can go travel, or you can go home. So I'm actually now deciding what I want to do more. Do I want to get a job, or I want to focus on a business, or I want to travel, or I want to go home? I'm still processing and analyzing and looking in the job market and what it's out there. So yeah, that's the freedom you have in New Zealand as a student, especially as a graduate student or postgraduate student, that you have long breaks and you have freedom to do many things, because we are allowed to travel, we are allowed to travel outside and come back to New Zealand, and we are also allowed to work full time. Also about work, you have to notice that in New Zealand as a student you can work full time during the semester break or holidays, wherever it is, and then you can work 20 hours per week when you are studying. So it gives you enough time, to manage your work and study, and to make money if you need to or want to. So I think it's a good balance when you can work part-time during your studies, maybe 10 hours per week, something like that, and then you can work full time during your breaks, because we have many breaks. It's not only like a break now on some holidays, you always have breaks between like in the months of the semester, because there would be a midterm exam, you will have a break, and then there would be holiday, and then would be like some celebrations. You always get a break, and you can just go and work full-time if you want to. So lastly, just on the work-life balance, that's what I mean with all the studies and breaks and holidays, that New Zealand gives you a lot of work-life balance. Also, all our cities are quite small in comparison to other countries. So if you live in a like Wellington and Christchurch, everything is closed, university is closed, like you don't spend much time going somewhere or commuting, and you really have good work-life balance where you can kind of relax and have a downtime and then get back into routine. So I think New Zealand gives you this really good work-life balance where you can have a really effective and efficient time at university. Then you can just have downtime, you can go surfing, go hiking, go mountain biking, walking. We have so many natural reserves, so many parks. We have a beach in the city, which you can't believe. You just live next to the beach, and the summer is coming, and I bet you that all students are going to the beach. So I think it's very well for your actually professional and academic life, because you can achieve good results, because you can also rest. If you always stress and you live in a large city like, I don't know, Tokyo, and you're always like on and on and on, it's hard to be actually successful and to take care of your mental health and your physical health. And New Zealand gives you this balance, which is so good and so amazing, that you maybe know that we have lower salaries if you look at other countries like US or even Australia, but we have better balance, and it actually makes sense to take on a lower salary but to take care of yourself. So you get actually the better return in the end, and you just take money and sacrifice your health to it. So I would highly recommend to study in New Zealand wherever it is. If you just want to come here for a degree, or you want to settle here and to work, maybe like to work for 5 years and then go to next country to explore more opportunities, it's all up to you. And the best thing that it's all open. You have opportunities and you have choice. That's what I love about New Zealand, that it gives you a choice and it gives you a freedom to choose. So I hope this information helped you in any way. If you want to study in New Zealand, leave a comment below if you have any questions about studying in New Zealand. I will definitely answer. And see you in New Zealand, and happy studies!